Hello, Pigeon here. I I brought this disaster upon the world. I am going to do pretty much what I usually do for editing on chapter 3. I hope this isn't very presumptuous. I am very flattered by the comments that I've received. I do not think chapter 3 will live up to very many expectations, and I apologize in advance. The foreword was kind of just us getting to know who Burger Pants is to other people. Chapter 1 was seeing what he and Az usually acted like together in public. And chapter 2 was really my baby, my closed room, raw emotion kind of battle between two people. I love that so much. And chapter 3 is yet again Az and Burger Pants out in the world, not exactly saying what they would say if it was them together. And also this takes place, well, it transitions to a while after that night. We just came from that very heavy scene, and Burger Pants has a lot to think of. When I got my concept of Burger Pants, it was his dialogue. It uses a lot of idioms, a lot of popular sayings, and it kind of twists it. He has a lot of self-confidence when he's speaking, but you can tell that it's very derisive. He doesn't actually believe in himself, but he thinks that pushing through positively will get him through. Very, very customer service. I have lived this before. So I am going to pretty much read out loud what I've written and make sure that it is, one, legible, and two, that there aren't any mistakes, obviously, and just how readable it is to people who don't speak English naturally. I'm very sorry to those people because this is not a good fic for that. I use a lot of idioms and phrases that American native-born people would, but just like the game. Anyway, I think I've embarrassed myself enough. Let's just get the show on the road. Okay. Chapter 3. Your room is a mess, your life is in shambles, and I want you so badly. The last thing Asriel told Burger Pants that night was, "See you soon," and Burger Pants really believed it, which was why he began to get distressed when Azzy hadn't bothered calling him for a couple days. Even that stupid cafe in the city he'd interviewed for got in touch with him before his own best friend had. Burger Pants couldn't sit with that feeling, and was the first one to reach out. Azriel immediately answered and was especially cordial. However, just like the confection itself, the sweetness was just a hard shell, sealing away the goopy mess on the inside. Burger Pants received a couple apologies from Azriel about that night, blemishing his impression of him as well as his carpet. But the more the guy told him sorry, the more Burger Pants took it to mean that he'd regretted getting him involved in the first place. "I'm sorry it was you. I won't make that mistake again." Of course, it was such a small town that it was nigh impossible to not bump into him again. Not to... Oh, I gotta pull this down, don't I? Not to. Okay. It was nigh impossible not to bump into again. I hope this records well. I don't know what I'm doing. This is like my first time using OBS. Anyway, Azzy immediately hugged him upon greeting him, and they took a short stroll together. They'd gotten so lost in conversation that they couldn't see the forest from the trees. Quite literally, too. They were so caught up in talking, they almost got lost in the woods. In person, things seemed just like they had been before. They were able to joke around and get along with one another just fine, which came as a huge relief. Azrael dropped the bombshell that he'd finally chosen which university he was going to attend, and was busy making preparations to leave hometown for good. This revelation lit a fire under Burger Pants' metaphorical be-pantsed buns. Already, his best friend had... all of a sudden, his best friend had already had a shoe slid in the door to his successful future, while the only doors Burger Pants opened had shoes successfully sliding him back out. I think that makes sense. I have a very specific picture in mind. Anyway, he couldn't imagine getting a real job, especially since the summertime made him want to resign with sleeping as his 9 to 5. But since Azrael was now preoccupied, that left Burger Pants' mind unoccupied, which meant he couldn't help but fret about the small things. Even though he and Az continued to talk on the phone, it wasn't quite the same comfort as having him there in person. Because of this, Burger Pants finally stepped into his big boy pants and got serious about job hunting. Of course, being serious and being taken seriously were two different things. The other issue living in a small town was that everyone knew who he was before he could even submit a souped-up resume, not to mention a soup-stained resume. QC had not forgotten his transgressions from the brief period he tried to work there years ago. I can't think of how to shorten that, honestly. And would have nothing to do with him. The diner alone accounted for most of the job opportunities in town. He had no discernible skills other than acting, and it's not like the off-Broadway scene was popping off in rural hometown. He did look out in finding a place to accept him, but it was because his luck actually ran out. The job description advertised it as a cool acting job with a chill environment, which was promising at the start. He didn't remember such an establishment existing, but when he'd walked down that familiar street, he'd at least been a few dozen times before. His heart dropped down to the run menu. False advertisement. The only reason why this place was cool was because it was a cold, dead corporate body. It had been for years. It was nothing but a corpse of a building hiding old ghosts from every child's nightmares. Ice-E's, pizza. Before he was able to escape from his evil clutches, a mascot dancing gaily around the outside, round the outside, round the outside, ran up and encountered him. Burger Pants tried to get his act together, and escape. But even then, nothing seemed to work. The mascot gave him no mercy. He was not spared at all. That is to say, he unfortunately was hired on the spot, because the same Bluey he'd despised for years had noticed him and wouldn't take no for an answer. This job was more like a pizza cult than a pizza carryout, but as long as it gave him a non-zero paycheck, he could put up with it. Now Burger Pants' weekday, it's so hard. I have in my head Burger Pants, Burger Pants, Burger Pants. I've summoned him just like Beetlejuice. It's the two words, burger and pants, I obviously say completely differently, so I'm sorry if that's off-putting. I can only try so much. Now Burger Pants' weekday had been thoroughly occupied. He began to miss the calm, creeping existential dread of contemplating life. The existential dread contemplating life while alone in the safety of his room that he'd been privileged enough to experience before his time in Pepperoni Prison. It's not that the job was particularly hard. I do not know what to do with that sentence. I don't know. It's not that the job was particularly hard, but it was extremely tedious, and he couldn't stomach the people he was stuck working with. Either of them. Neither of them. Either of them? Frick! It was like ripping his soul from his body. It was like ripping... Neither of them. It was like ripping his soul out of his body. He was shambling around in a vegetative state. By the time he got home from work every night, it was a wonder if he could do anything other than pass out on his bed. He used to take daily showers until he reached the wretched conclusion that there was no amount of scrubbing that would take away the rank, penetrating odor of pizza grease. Do I want to go with the alliteration, or do I want to keep rank? That's always the thing. I'm not sure. I could do preposterous penetrating odor of pizza. No, I think this is fine. Okay, let's just go. At this point, he resigned himself to becoming one with it. He was a walking scratch and sniff business card. Named Pizza Pants, smelled like pizza that was left to rot in an old pair of pants. All de regret. However, thanks to signing his soul over to the corporate icy overlords, he was able to afford to fill in that black hole. Ooh, that? No more of that. I've got enough of that. He was able to fill in the black hole. Frick. He was able to afford to fill in the black hole. Oh, the black hole void. That's the job. I want another that. Which one? He was able to afford to fill in that black hole void. The job. Yes, that. That black hole void that the job slashed into his heart with consumer goods. I can't fix it. I just... Anyway. Well, he did have enough foresight to set money aside as a car fund. He also needed a fun fund to keep him going. During a few weekends, he tried to get together with Azzy, treat him to something nice. But they never seemed to be alone anymore, especially since word got around that he was moving away to college. It was always Azriel and friends. Caddy was especially happy to milk every red cent Burger Pants was willing to slide Az's way. For milk especially, funnily enough. Water. Whew. The summer wasn't completely hopeless, though. There was an annual event held at the city center about 30 minutes away that he liked to attend every year, and it was coming up pretty soon. That's a pretty long sentence. And this year he was extra excited. Burger Pants had been looking forward to the release of a niche comic drawn by a local artist for quite some time. All of my sentences are long, I can't help it. And it was rumored that there would be a whole booth dedicated to the series. He could also kill two birds with one stone and ask Azriel to drive him. As for what gravity would do with the stone once it was cast up in the air, and the two birds as they fell, he didn't have high hopes that he and Az were going to be able to spend a lot of quality time together. Their times lately had always been occupied with others present, and it was more than likely that half of Hometown's residents were also going to be in attendance. Even though Fate's dice were always loaded, he decided to give them a roll anyway. Besides, this particular comic that Burger Pants was looking forward to buying was for very mature audiences. Very mature tastes. That's fine. He didn't expect Azriel to understand why it was so important to him. Given how that guy reacted to the tapes last time, he might even get scolded. So long as he could break away from their group long enough to slink over to the adults-only section, everything would be fine. He called up his good buddy for a favor, and of course Azriel was happy to oblige. Since both of their schedules overlapped except for the last day of the convention, their date was pretty much set in stone. It worked out in the long run since the last day was the least crowded, and further raised the chances that Burger Pants and Azriel could have a moment together. A moment to hang out in peace. On the day Az was supposed to pick him up, Burger Pants stood outside the apartment complex and fished in his pocket for a smoke. He was a lot more nervous than he had previously anticipated, And it didn't help that he'd taken up cigarettes again. I hope cigarettes are okay to mention. I did not mention the other things before, but all of a sudden we have cigarettes and alcohol. That might be a little bit jarring, but I don't know how to go through this without the cigarettes, because that is a very big thing in fast food. You don't get a break unless you smoke. It really sucks. Anyway, he finally found what he was looking for, but cursed under his breath. It had been busted. When he looked up, he saw that familiar rust bucket. Azrael was a lot quicker than he had anticipated. And, when he looked over, what little hopes he had crumbled like the cigarette in his pocket. My little sibling wanted to tag along. I hope that's all right with you. Yeah, sure. That's great. Nice to see you again, little buddy. Burger Pants maintained his customer service smile, trying to make the best of a bad hand that had been dealt to him. Chris, however, didn't seem to pay him any mind. Chris, why don't you move over so Pizza Pants can get in? Chris obviously heard him, but didn't budge. He looks tired. He can take a nap in the truck bed. Azrael laughed nervously. How can we allow that? He's our friend. Pizza Pants, why don't you come squeeze in the middle? Chris's stubborn attitude prompted Azrael to climb uneasily out of the truck to make way for his entry. Burger Pants hesitated for a moment, wondering if Azrael was going to come over and hug him. You know what, y'all? You know what? Let's just go full Yuri with this. I think we can do it. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. Burger Pants hesitated for a moment, wondering if Azrael was going to come over and hug him. However, his standing around blankly made Az think that there was some problem he hadn't detected. Oh, frick, that's the wrong one. Oh, goodness, I'm so glad I did this. Don't worry. There should be more than enough room for all three of us. It shouldn't be an uncomfortable ride. Who wouldn't be uncomfortable with this situation? This truck was a stick shift. He was going to have to live with having Azrael's hand move around in his lap the whole way there. Why hadn't he thought of how this could be a problem? Your new truck has back seats. A monotone voice cut in, causing both parties to look at them. New truck? What new truck? Why hadn't he heard of this? Azrael hastily ushered his friend in. Chris, you know the blue one is Dad's truck. There's no way I could have accepted it. Burger Pants carefully readjusted in the seat, and hesitantly set both legs leaning off to Chris's side, earning him a glare. Sorry, little buddy. You just don't understand the world of adults yet. Please just put up with it for a little while, okay? I'll buy you an ice cream or something. After Azrael got back in, they hastily made their... Oh, jeez. I've got a hastily, I've got a hesitantly, and do I have another hastily? Yes, I sure do. There we go. That's how you do it, quickly. They quickly made their way out of hometown, and out onto the highway. About this time, Burger Pants had to voice out his curiosity. Drink water, kids, drink water. What's this about a new truck? My dad decided to buy me a vehicle for getting into a good... My dad decided to buy me a vehicle for getting into a good university. But I'm used to how this one feels. And his flower delivery service might reach outside hometown one of these days. About that, a flower business, so... How was your dad able to afford a new car? Both Azrael and Chris immediately looked out their respective windows as if desperately looking for a chance to escape. I don't want to use a different word. I want to draw the parallel between this first looking and that second looking. They were looking... no, do I want to go searching? I don't know. Both Azriel and Chris immediately looked out their respective windows, as if desperately looking for a chance to escape. I don't want to do searching. As if desperately searching. Go. Do it. Okay. Searching. Because it seems clunky. Okay. As if desperately searching for a chance to escape. For little Buddy alone, it was an understandable reaction. But Azriel was the one currently driving. Oh, I see. So the rumors were true, huh? No wonder Azriel would choose to keep this piece of crap. No matter how nice the other truck must be, there was no way he could accept something that was a love token given to his poor father. I don't know how other people do it in one sitting. If Burger Pants was good for anything, it was definitely for creating an awkward silence. His other special skill, coincidentally, was creating conversation that was just as awkward to fill said silence. Hey, Azzy, I snagged you a coupon book from work. I know their quality isn't the best, but you can't beat nearly free, right? He fumbled around to get the booklet out of his pocket and slapped it on the dashboard. Useless. The mascots make him cry. Burger Pants looked over at Chris, but they quickly turned their head to avoid eye contact. Eye contact is a huge thing in this fic. I never expounded upon it, but eye contact, at least for Chris, how far Chris is concerned, they can read thoughts with an encounter. They can check. Oh, I'm sure everybody's played the game, so they pretty much know what this is like, seeing all the thoughts in brackets and also being able to see what their actions are. For Azriel, it's somewhat the same, but it's more of a proximity thing and how much engagement there is. I don't know if this makes any sense. If someone's trying to think something at Azriel, he is more likely to pick it up, and Burger Pants is really, in his words, expressive. Anyway, where was I? But they quickly turned their head to avoid any eye contact. But Squirt most likely had a point. When Burger Pants had first been hired, he was devastated. But the one redeeming factor about the matter was that he could tell Azriel and make him proud. However, Az barely managed to get out a flat congratulations and avoided talking about it ever again. So the mascots made Azriel cry? The ascots also made Azriel cry. They made Burger Pants cry too, so it was understandable. The pizza itself wasn't exactly something he'd call appetizing, but in the back of his head, I don't want to say back of his mind because I've used mind like a million times in this fic, and mind reading comes up quite a lot, so definitely I want to put the back of his head, but it does not sit right with me. Let that be known. He'd hoped the coupons gave him a chance to possibly see Az while he was at work. Like little Buddy said, it must have been useless. You don't want to see your friends at work. That is not a thing you want to do. But at this point, Burger Pants is coming to the realization that the best friend that he'd grown up with his whole life is all of a sudden moving. And it's not completely unexpected that Azriel would move on. It's that he doesn't want to really grapple that subject yet, and he's kind of forced to. So there's him thinking about that one night, going over through his head over and over again what happened, how everything was his fault, because of course he doesn't really see it as a misunderstanding mutually. He sees it as his misunderstandings, him not acting the right way, him not reaching out his hand, him not being a good friend, and not that Azrael just freaking trauma dumped him. And, oh my goodness. Anyway, I have gone on a tangent. Let's get back to the point. So the mascots made Azrael cry. They made Burger Pants cry too. But in the back of his head, he'd hoped that the coupons gave him a chance to possibly see Az again while he was at work. Like little Buddy said, it must have been useless. That only happened when I was little. I was a bit of a crybaby. I think I used a Noel voice for him for his Yuri version. So let's it didn't take much to make me react like that. Sharp as a knife, Chris cut in again. And yes, that is the pun. I'm very sorry. It will happen many times. You didn't cry when Chompy mangled your arm. Wait, Chompy? The ticket-eating animatronic that made munching noises as it counted and shredded tickets? There had been an accident many years ago. Yeah, let's say there had been an accident. Everyone resented that incident because it was the only good part about Icy's. Because the only good part about Icy's was its arcade, which was promptly shut down in fear of a lawsuit. Back in the day, it was the #1 hangout. I am so sorry. I have to get this out there. The Umris Cannon. Was it that? Somewhere along the way of all the craziness that has happened, there's been like a parallel between Omori and Deltarune, I guess. I'll say the Deltarune fic canon anyway. So I specifically made this like a very 90s thing. I am very sorry. That's why we have the cassettes. That's why we had the combination VHS TVs. What else did I put in there? CD burning. So this is a very 90s fic. Oh, the scrambled porn channel, of course. Which apparently is like an American thing. I am very sorry for that. Like I said, that's just what I have to call back on. So very sorry to people who don't know about that. I'm very sorry you don't know about that. Anyway, we're going back to this, which was promptly shut down in fear of a lawsuit. Back in the day, it was the #1 hangout spot for kids, but after the incident, both parents and their children avoided the place, albeit for different reasons. And yes, of course, this stems from Icy and the purple guy, and the whole FNAF thing, and coin game. I love me some coin game. And I just couldn't get that out of my head, the little munching noises as the tickets went in. Anyway, I digress. Azzy, that was you? It wasn't that bad. You know, I heal rather fast. I'm a different breed. I want to say a bit of a different breed, but I cannot keep using bit. I will have bit in this fic for like hundreds of words. That doesn't make sense, but that's how I feel. Anyway, Azrael is talking about the boss monster thing. I loathe to call it boss monster, so I have skirted around it as best as I possibly could. And not only that, he is in front of Chris, and he does not want to mention the lifestyles of the boss monsters and the famous in front of Chris, because that makes them uncomfortable. So he's pretty much hinting to Burger Pants that it is because of this thing. Yes, the incident happened, but it's not like his hand got permanently mangled. he healed and pretty much lived to tell the story. That was really Azrael Dreamer. Az was Icy's first victim? Use the mouse, honey. Okay, here we go. Why didn't you tell me that you were the nip of the 90s? You were practically famous. Who would believe that I was bitten by Chompy? Oh, you were bitten. Chompy did have those huge exaggerated cartoon teeth. Huge exaggerated cartoon teeth. It's okay. Huge exaggerated cartoon teeth. They operated on pistons that went in wide circular motions. In a wide circular motion. In wide circular motions. There we go. That's why you read it out loud. In wide circular motions, while the ticket slot in the middle was outfitted on a rather open conveyor belt to draw the tickets in towards a set of rotor blades. I mean, I don't want to keep towards multiple sets of rotor blades, just as simple as I possibly can. Let's go. It used to be simple technology back then, and since Icy was especially cheap, it was absolutely plausible that the design wasn't nearly as child-proof, or even as child-friendly, or even as child-proof, or even as child-friendly as it should have been. Water. But that wasn't the main issue here. Anyone who had this sort of incident in their childhood would obviously have a black shadow in their heart. A black shadow. Is that a Chinese thing? Is that a thing that happens in English? You have a black shadow in your heart, like the incident casts a black shadow, like it overshadows you. Like a black cloud hangs over your head, kind of thing. I think that's a thing. So, with that, and all the other incidents, which Burger Pants so far only knows about Brady and something else. Oh, Chris, yes, of course. He only knows about the Brady and the Chris incident, which are linked. We do not see any of Azrael's perspective in the fic. That is on purpose. I should not have done that. But in the interests of not having it as a horrible mess, I just stuck to one perspective, which means we don't see how Azrael's thoughts dovetail. So he got bitten by Brady, and he starts feeling this nostalgia that the teeth are like knives that are stabbing him, which brings him back to the other timeline, which is KFC, pretty much, stabbing him in like a battle. Oh goodness, how do I talk about this? I don't know. Anyway, that's where the connection was. And I lost what connection I had. So let's keep going. Right. Get what Azrael told him that night off his mind. Straight, flat teeth, huh? Did Azrael Dreamer intend to use him as a stand-in to recreate Chompy's Chosen Chew child trauma? Chompy's Chosen Chew child trauma? I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's kind of funny, but I don't know if that's going to annoy everyone. That thought haunted him more than any icy ghost story he'd ever heard. Azrael's... Oh, yeah, and, Azrael can definitely, intuit what Burger Pants is thinking about right now. Azrael's fists were clenched so hard around the steering wheel that it almost looked as if he was contemplating veering off into the other side of traffic. I am very sorry. I don't know if that needs a content warning or anything. Intrusive thoughts are just kind of a thing that we all have to deal with, and I understand that it can be triggering to some people. I hope it isn't a big issue. I am very sorry if it is. I don't know else to express that Azriel is so caught up in this mental image that it is affecting him and his ability to drive. Anyway, let's go. The Noel voice, let's see. Enough of that. What is everyone most looking... enough of that. What is everyone most looking forward to when we get there? Enough of that. What is everyone looking most forward to when we get there? I can't do the Noel voice now either. I don't know what to do. Anyway, let's go. It was Burger Pants' turn to squirm in his seat. Right. Here I have right. Right is also something that is like, I don't know, 53 times in the fic. I'm very sorry, I don't know how to express things. And right just seems to be like my catch-all. And right. And that. Right. He had thought about ditching Az when they'd gotten there, but he hadn't thought of a plausible excuse yet. In a way, he was hoping to have the cover of a crowd to distract he was hoping to have the cover of a crowd distract Azriel from noticing. I think that's okay. Cover of a crowd to distract. Let's put the two. Just put the two in. It's okay. We're editing. He was hoping to have the cover of a crowd to distract Azriel from noticing. Now the only distraction he could count on was the little sibling. Sacrificial daggers. Chris stated plainly while looking at Burger Pants as if he was a piece of meat. For a kid who liked to keep to themselves, they surely got their intentions across loud and clear. And yes, of course we are going back into that, Chris's way of intuiting what people are thinking. And this is not a very comfortable ride for any of them. It really isn't. Well, let's just go on. Don't explain it, just go. Yes, you may have as many knives as you like. Just don't use them to harm anyone, okay? That sounds way too... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyway. What was Squirt gonna use a sacrificial dagger for if not to intentionally hurt someone? To sacrifice other daggers? It obviously couldn't be for something innocent like cutting pie, right? Don't slice a pie off my little buddy, and we'll all be good. Burger Pants just like me. Burger Pants and I, also, immediately cringed at the thought of work lexicon, now commingling and worming its way into his private thoughts. Yes, this is very true. It happens all the time. My pleasure. He absolutely detested these kinds of puns and felt mortified. Yes, he hates these kind of puns. Burger Pants has his own sense of humor. It's usually alliteration and rhyming and idioms. And the Dreamers are more direct puns. I try to do that. I can't say I succeeded because there are a couple instances I can think of. Anyway. Let's keep going. This was the kind of job more fit for a dreamer. Oh, he absolutely detested these kind of puns, felt mortified having to say them out loud. Say such things out loud. This kind of job was more fit for a dreamer. Maybe Squirt could take over his position someday. Right. Pizza Pants. Why did you choose such a place? Did things not work out with the cafe? And then we go back, up here. So, enough of that. What is everyone most looking forward to when we get there? Yes, you may have as many knives as you like. Right, Pizza Pants. Why did you choose such a place? Did things not work out with the cafe? Just go. No need to explain, let's go. The sudden change in topic was jarring. A tad suspicious even, causing Burger Pants to take a second to realize what he was being asked. Because to Burger Pants right now, the last thing on his mind was, oh shit, Azriel's asking about what we're going to do, and I don't want to tell him what my intentions are. I'm going to try to ditch him as fast as I possibly can, and thankfully Chris is here. I can use them to get by pretty much unnoticed. And Asriel is like, oh yeah, about that cafe that you interviewed for the other day, which Burger Pants can keep track of what he's thinking and what other people said last, but it does kind of, it kind of gets mixed up. Like, I can't really explain it. Like, he'll catch on to one singular thing that people said and try to formulate thoughts about it, but that means he's not thinking about things as they're being said. So he gets caught up in like this one idea, he latches onto it, and that's the thing that he formulates his thoughts around. He's desperately trying to catch up. Every single conversation that he has, or, well, pretty much every thought that he has as well. Anyway, causing Burger Pants to take a second to realize what was being asked. However, such synchronicity could be chalked up to their near decade of being friends. Should be, anyhow. Ah, the place from that one time? How could I dare show my face there again? Am I a masochist? No, I mean, it's more like, how would the logistics work out anyway? It's not like I could have you bringing me back and forth every day, especially now that you're going off to college. I had to get something I could walk to, and there aren't many options that fit the bill. Okay, this a lot of things go back into that initial introduction, where, I mean, it pretty much, he changes by the end of the fic, obviously. And everything takes on a bit of a different context, but not really, because I'm not good at planning out those things. I really didn't plan out those things. It kind of happened. So, and I can't, like, change everything now to fit other things in that perfect mold. But at first, he's really using Asriel as much as he possibly can. That's his best bud, ride or die. He'll do anything for him. They've been through all these situations together, except also he is very envious. Even though he says he isn't, he very much is. He wishes that he could be Asriel. He wishes that he pretty much lived Asriel's life, and that's also kind of how he can relate to him. Anyway, I don't know what I was saying. I don't know. Right. He started to change. After Asriel was going off to college, he had to think about how he was going to be left in hometown, pretty much friendless. He does have people that he can talk to, obviously, and he isn't bad at customer service talking. He's just not very personal with people. He's very neurodivergent, and he has his one friend, and Asriel is his one friend. That's his best buddy. He doesn't have to worry. That's his best buddy. That's the person who gets him. So of course he puts all of his stock into that one person. That one person is now moving away, and he's kind of stranded. So he can't rely on Asriel anymore, and he's starting to let that sink in. So at the beginning of the fic, yeah, he can drive me. And right now he's like, oh no, you couldn't drive me. That was a lot to say nothing. I'm very sorry. There aren't many options that fit the bill. I wouldn't have minded. I might have even chosen a closer university, as stated, so casually as if it held no deeper meaning. Yes, the first night. That night, Az was thinking about things. Definitely, wanting to go away, but in the back of his mind, he wanted to try bringing Burger Pants with him. He's had a crush on Burger Pants for, like, years. No help from Burger Pants, who has his thoughts and expresses them very loudly. So every time he's thinking about that handsome face and how Azrael has the perfect body and pretty much just flattering the guy for years while also cursing him, Azrael kind of plays into Burger Pants' obsession with girls and tries to humiliate him, kind of to get back at. Anyway, where am I going? I don't know. I might have chosen a closer university, as stated so casually as if it held no deeper meaning. But obviously it did, because he was thinking about running away with Burger Pants, which is why he had that talk with him, and was like, yo, everyone in hometown expecting so much of me, I really can't take this anymore, you wanna ditch? And Burger Pants is like, yeah! You ditch. You go get it, Azzy. You're so worth it. Go do you. And Azrael's like, oh, okay. I will go do me then, by myself. It was a bad idea to think that you would want to come with me. Water time. This revelation definitely affected Burger Pants, and he almost seriously contemplated why he would bring this up now that the future had been decided, but he immediately distracted himself with something else. Azrael Dreamer, you freaking crook! Was that a trap? Trying to make me feel guilty? Trying to see what I would say? Do you truly have some kind of sixth sense that allows you to interpret thoughts? How could such a thing be possible? Most of Burger Pants' thoughts aren't narrated in his head. The problem I have with every single movie that does the thought things is, holy shit, when you're ADHD, your thoughts... I can't even think. Like, your thoughts aren't dialogue. They aren't one-for-one comparisons to text. You're thinking about things while people are saying things. You are thinking multiple things while people are saying things. You were having pictures of ideas. You were thinking intrusive thoughts that you don't want to think about. You have all of this going on in your brain. It's like a circus. And we actually see in Deltarune and Undertale what thoughts look like, but obviously they're not like a true interpretation of thoughts, which is kind of pulling into the lore that I have, I guess, where it's certain conditions that are met. Like if somebody's really trying to tell someone something in their mind, what are you, freaking crazy? Like, you know, you can kind of intuit what they're thinking. You can intuit what they're doing. You can intuit why their behavior, kind of like psychology, you know, you can kind of get a profile of the people, and you can, in the case of Undertale and Deltarune, you can actually see the text of the thought bubbles. Parentheses are very weird in Undertale. I'm just casually using them for Strictly Thoughts. They are not used for Strictly Thoughts, let me put that right out there. Sometimes they are used for whispers, and I can't even right now. Whispers are in quotes in my thing. My thing has differentiate between thoughts that are being projected in the bubbles, thoughts that are being thought by the narration, and curses under their breath. Like, I think I had that early on. Burger Pants curses under his breath so that we know the differences between thoughts and mutterings. I tried to put... I'm not good at this. Let's just get on with it. How could such a thing be possible? Most of Burger Pants' thoughts aren't even narrated in his head. Most of them are nebulous ideas racing around all at once and in the background. A lot of them evaporate just as soon as they pop up. And I almost did a bubble pun. You are welcome that I did not put the bubble pun about popping bubbles. You are very welcome for that. Anyway. And others he chooses to dwell on. It wasn't as simple as words, either. He could think of things in the format of still images. He could think of things in the format of still images and video footage? This is a weird sentence. He could think of things in the format of still images and video footage. Let's do an and. Well, you know what? I have so many ands, another one can join them. Would all that be broadcasted into Az's mind? Water, kids. It's good for you. This is the second bottle of water. Would all that be broadcast into Az's mind? Could he virtually project the entirety of some cheesy movie and force others as an audience? You are so welcome for me not including Shrek in here. Oh god, where was that? I think it was a meme where somebody had watched Shrek so much as a kid that they could mentally watch Shrek in their head word for word. I related to that so much because I did the same thing for The Lion King when I was a kid. I was so obsessed with The Lion King and I had it word for word memorized in my head. Anyway, was he the chosen in-flight entertainment for today? All things considered, Azrael shouldn't be able to read thoughts, especially not his. My mic is slipping. I'm so sorry. If most people's minds flowed like a river, Burger Pants is... that was a saying. People's minds flow like rivers. Burger Pants was a jumbled up net that could easily trap an entire herd of buffalo. Could rather trap a buffalo if thrown out into the wild. Why buffalo instead of a shoal of fish? That's how confusing and unpredictable they were. Plus, there were only little fish in his big pond. Though the net had a wide spread, there were a bunch of holes in his logic. I like doing this. I like contrasting metaphorical things with, tangible ideas. So it'd be like, he threw in the towel as the towel got thrown at him. I did that metaphorically in chapter 2, where Burger Pants throws in the towel. I did not make that joke because I wanted it to be symbolic. But stuff like that, like earlier with Azrael ruining his reputation as well as Burger Pants' carpet. You know, like have a tangible thing that happened and it. Anyway, would all that be broadcast into Az's mind? Could he virtually project the entirety of some cheesy movie and force others as an audience? Was he the chosen in-flight entertainment for today? All things considered, Azrael shouldn't be able to read his thoughts, especially not his. Blah 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 blah. Though his net had been widespread, there was a bunch of holes in his logic. The heart of the matter Az was definitely suspicious. It couldn't hurt to be too guarded, so just in case. Even though Azrael had no reaction to his inner monologue just then, or had given any indication that it might actually be true. The duration of the ride was taken up by Burger Pants thinking about the lyrics to the most annoying songs that he could possibly think of. Ooh, I put in another that. Leave it. If Azzy could peer into the inner workings of his mind, he would be sure to give that bastard one hell of a serenade. Once the vehicle stopped, Chris was more than eager to throw open the door and bounded off towards the entrance. Maybe the little guy had been more excited about this than Burger Pants had imagined. The little guy. I am using that as gender neutral. I hope that doesn't upset people. But it's the little guy, you know, the little dude. Perhaps Squirt really had been looking forward to the convention, and had roped Perhaps Squirt really had been looking forward to the convention, and roped Azrael into taking him once they heard where he was going. Yeah, it's stupid, hurt and roped. It didn't really play out, but there was a sense of thought in that. He almost felt a bit ashamed for thinking Az just used them as an excuse to not be alone, a third wheel to lessen the tension. Almost. But he couldn't do that in good conscience. He himself wanted to use said third wheel to distract Azrael and get some private time to sneak off. Now that seemed a lot more difficult of a task. Right, and we're getting into Burger Pants' insecurities. He thinks that Azrael is trying to put up a buffer between them. Like, what happened that night was Burger Pants' fault, and that Azrael was so put off by it that he's putting up this wall so they don't spend alone time together, which isn't really quite what's happening. Azrael is backing off a little bit. He's apologized quite a few times. He doesn't really want to scare off Burger Pants, but he doesn't really want to, let him off the hook. Like, the first thing that he does when he sees Burger Pants again is get physical, and he gets so physical in this. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but he's always, like, reaching out for Burger Pants and, like, playing these little schemes, like, oh no, I'm at the door, and I'm so weak and feeble, please, bring me over to the sofa. Please, pour me a cup of water. He likes being mobbied by Burger Pants, and Burger Pants is way than more than willing to do it, obviously, because that's his bud. The best buddies. That's just what buddies do, right? What do you want to look at first? Not sure. I just wanted to see what they got. Anything you interested in, Anything you interested in, Az? You come here every year, right? I should probably follow your lead. What about little buddy? You can't just leave them there and run around on their own, right? He'll be fine. Let's just go have fun. This is the worst Yuri ever. I am very sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I wish I had a better voice to voice them in. So, if Burger Pants desperately wanted to hang out with the guy, he is no longer available. He was no longer available. If he does. If he wants, then he is. Okay, then he's no longer available. But the moment he wants to go off on his own, that guy becomes a thorn stuck to his side. Well, whatever. It's not like it would... Don't read it like you're acting. Just read it like you're reading. It's not like he would be the one disadvantaged by dragging a beautiful rose through the mud with him. And that's, dragging through the mud and the whole rose thing, flower thing, the flower motif with Azrael, once again hinting back to Undertale. Anyway. And besides, even though they kept in close contact these days, Az was quite different when they were around others. The true Azrael only shone blindingly bright when they were alone. He really did miss the guy. Which again is a quote from Deltarune. He misses the guy and he has like the saddest little face. He look at all of Burger Pants' portraits and he's just like okay, so the Maneki Neko thing, there are different colors for different, the cat can raise a paw one way or the other. One way is for good luck in business, one way is good luck for phone, in the home. And there are different colors, and the different colors mean different things, but the gold Maneki Neko cat, I guess, beckoning cat statue that you find in Asian takeouts, pretty much, they always have the ugliest faces, and it's so hilarious. That is exactly why, I couldn't think of anything else. Anyway, you look at Burger Pants, and you see his portraits, and they are the most ugly things that you have ever seen to man, and then you look at the ones specifically when he's talking about Azrael, and it's the funniest thing ever. He looks so sad and so upset. It's perfect. I love it. Thank you, Toby Fox. Thank you so much. The true Azrael shone blindingly bright when they were alone. He really did miss the guy. The center was crowded with people of all walks of life. This is what I can't do. I don't know how y'all do it. How do you talk about something that's like a setting? I can't do that. I want to talk about people's thoughts. I want to talk about maybe their dialogue. I can't talk about what their surroundings are. I'm sure you've noticed, like, I barely say anything about their blocking and the state. Well, I guess I do kind of hint at, like, the sofa bed and but I'm not, like, setting the scene for you. I'm just putting some elements that they're interacting off of. I cannot be like a, scene set. It opens with Azrael on the couch. No, I am flabbergasted at how you are able to do this. So please, excuse me for this. I am trying my best to transition because there can't be very many thoughts. Now that we know the mind thing is going on, we can't have very many thoughts anymore. And one, because Burger Pants is also freaking sober right now, so he's not going to have all those weird thoughts that, like, intermingle and very latent. So he's not, and he's also guarded against Azrael because he's starting to believe that Azrael actually knows what he's thinking, even though he doesn't think there's any way it's possible. He's also very, very suspicious person. Sorry, hiccup. Water is great. The center was crowded with people of all walks of life, all here with a single purpose in mind. Oh no, I used a hyphen. Oh, do I keep the hyphen? Do I do the semicolon? I keep the hyphen. Oh no, I can't believe I did that. To enjoy hobbies of their pastimes, regardless of their age or lifestyle, which is, gender is very different in Deltarune. I absolutely love it. Chef's kiss, Toby Fox, love you. People aren't really gay. They're not straight. They just kind of flow with whatever they want. That they express themselves however they want. So it's not like a big thing there, which is another reason why it's kind of like Burger Pants' real qualm with this is Azrael is his one person. That's his one buddy. He's been with him since he was little. He could always confide in Azrael, and relationships complicate things. We kind of get into this a little bit later on, but Burger Pants has this very, very narrow view of what his life is supposed to entail, and what's expected of him, and what a relationship is supposed to be like. He's kind of fascinated by relationships because he's so bad at them, and we'll see that a little bit later too, not very much later. He is fascinated by relationships, and he can't possibly conceive trying to do that with Azrael, because he's thinking it's an actual relationship at this point, even though the other thought has crossed his mind. He doesn't want to mess that up with Azrael, especially not since, he doesn't want to leave on bad terms. He doesn't even want Azrael to leave at all. Like, it's still kind of shocking to him, like a culture shock. Like, oh no, what am I going to do with my life now? Which is kind of why he just let himself be in the job. I've done that myself before too. I have gone through my little breakups and just put myself into a job that I really, really should not have ever worked. Anyway, I digress. Regardless of age or lifestyle, they could all relate to what it was like to be impassioned by their fandoms. I, too, can relate what it's like to be impassioned by a fandom. It wasn't to say that everyone got along. Far from it. There was a bunch of noise. There was a bunch of noise being made over the continuity of X and Y series. Others arguing over the proper relationship dynamics of their favorite characters. But everyone was willing to come together as a community and express themselves and their love for their chosen shows. Twitter. This is Twitter. I'm talking about Twitter. We're talking about the antis and all the Twitter culture. That's what we're talking about right here is Twitter. Entertainment. That's the world Burger Pants wanted to be a part of. He didn't exactly have the most charmed life. He'd gone through his own struggles growing up, but what always pushed him through life was his favorite shows on TV. Maybe that's a bad sentence. But what always pushed him through life was his favorite TV shows. Maybe it's okay. He was especially enamored with the actors who so easily conveyed their thoughts and emotions. He often mimicked his favorite characters and repeated their lines verbatim, learning how to express himself by thinking about what they would say. Once again, we got the fidgeting, we got the thoughts, we got the thinking that he's like a freak, an outsider, he doesn't really belong, and also this trying to grasp and look at what others are doing so that he can know how to fit in. And that's a big thing in customer service especially, is you have this script that you go through and you learn how to talk to people through going through the script. And it's the same thing like when you're a kid. Yeah, you love Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. You love Vegeta so much, you quote all of his lines, and you become Vegeta. You know what Vegeta's gonna say, and Vegeta's attitude. You adopt everything about. I mean, that's kind of the energy I'm channeling for this. Is that Burger Pants is, well, let's just read it. Just read it. Okay. He'd gone through his own struggles growing up, but what always pushed him through life was his favorite TV shows. He was especially enamored with the actors who so easily conveyed their thoughts and emotions. He often mimicked his favorite characters and repeated their lines verbatim, learning how to express himself by thinking about what they would say. If he himself could be a role model like that for someone someday, it would mean the world to him. It was a job that was truly impactful to the world. And this is bullshit. We are going to get hit by the truck in the next paragraph, maybe, hopefully, possibly. But he is waxing poetic about his aspirations and how he's going to have this great life, but also he sees the reality of it somewhat. Just read the fic. Just read it. Anyway. But the biggest draw-in for acting was the salary. Easy money and reputation. The best way for a skillless skin and bone guy like himself to coast by in life. And yes, that is the thing. Burger Pants is really bad at talking with people, with like actually making connections with people. And connections are a big part of Hollywood. I don't know if I should go into all that culture. I'm sorry for any non-Americans. It's a big thing in Hollywood about making connections and how like everyone knows each other, 6 degrees of separation. A big thing is connections. And Burger Pants, what he wants most is connections. That's what he longs for, and he doesn't believe that he deserves connections. So we see this because he's neurodivergent and he doesn't really know it. Like he's going through life unmedicated, or at least medicating himself, not knowing that, oh, this is normal. This isn't anything weird. I'm not like a freak. This is a normal thing that I could actually work towards, helping myself get through life with. Anyway, he wants the connections. And he wants the reputation, which, through the incidences that he's had in his life, reputation is a really bad thing for him. Like, he never looks good in anyone's eyes. Everybody always thinks of him as, like, this disgusting person. Of course, except for Azrael, who kind of gets the inside story. Lucky for him. He didn't consider acting hard since he'd already grew up having to pretend to be someone else for his whole life. Neurodivergence, here we go! And regardless of the harsh realities for those who couldn't make it big, the benefits far outweighed whatever little drawbacks there were. The only thing you really needed in the acting world was lucky break, and if anyone could break luck, it was him. He was always capable of making a scene. There we go. That is Burger Pants. He is always capable of making a scene. That's kind of his thing. He's always capable of making a fool out of himself no matter where he goes. But then also he's able to entertain people by making a fool out of himself. And that is his biggest struggle in the story. He wants to be taken seriously, but nobody's willing to take that chance on him, from what he can tell. While skimming over the table set up in the dealer's alley, Burger Pants stopped in his tracks and trotted over to the table on his right. "Oh my god, is that Berserk?" I consulted my friends. Do you know about Berserk? Oh, yeah. Berserk, I'm so sorry. Do you know about Berserk? Yeah, I know about Berserk. What's your favorite part? Crickets. Nobody, absolutely nobody could tell me what this stupid thing was like, but I know that it's influenced like every single anime and video game and everything ever, and this just seems like such an it's an AZPT thing. This is their thing. This is like their Netflix and chill. They turn on Berserk in the background. That is what they watch. That's what they're making out to. Like, this is their thing. This has them all over, and I don't know anything about it, so I actually started watching a video from the most adorable trans lady in the world. I love her, want to be her. She is so awesome. Anyway, I listened to like the first 5 minutes of her speak about it. I'm like, that's it. You are Burger Pants. You are the Burger Pants that I am going to channel. So I pretty much word for word stated what she stated, except I also threw in a little bit of commentary about the shitty thing that I'm writing as well. So anyway, and the whole thing I know about Berserk is it's supposed to be like very gory and deal with a lot of heavy topics. And I think I've established earlier on that was the kind of thing that Azrael and Burger Pants were into as teens. Like, they were very edgelord. They really hit that emo phase hard. Anyway, just get on with it. When confirming the contents, he looked back at his friend excitedly and pointed over that way. "Azzy, I've been, space. I think I had it as meaning first, and then I changed it to wanting for some reason, so I'm gonna leave it as it is. I've been wanting to recommend this series to you. It's about a human warrior and It's about this human warrior with this giant sword who travels the world, slaughtering demons. But the further you go along, you realize that the demons all represent his emotional turmoil. Again, the emotional turmoil, the connections. Burger Pants is so into it. Anyway, let's go. Oh, right, it's not for the squeamish. It's pretty dark and has a ton of gore. But that all feeds back into the symbolism of his mortality. I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you couldn't vibe with it. But if you wanted to start, I'd say definitely read the manga, because the anime adaptations don't do it justice at all. Just don't start with the first volume. It's widely agreed upon that the first volume was the author's warm up into writing. My introduction was my warm-up into writing, by the way. I'm sure everybody could tell how it definitely juxtaposition towards the rest of the fic. Anyway. They made this main character into an irredeemable jerk that skirts into edgelord territory. While everything does get tied in nicely later on, you don't have the full scope of what the first volume means until after the series ends. Azrael chuckled. Thank you, Azrael. Burger Pants is winded. Azrael is, that's the thing. Burger Pants is very winded and flowy, and he says a lot of words. He's saying absolutely nothing substantial. Azrael, I went from the Azrael at the end of Undertale, which really isn't, good, but that's what I did, because that's what my save file was on. Spoke very choppily and not always in complete sentences, because it was, dialogue boxes, but he was very to the point. He said what he needed to say, and that's the hardest thing for me to do, is say what you need to say, and say it as concisely as possible. And that's also why they have a lot of problems, because Azrael is saying what he means, but Burger Pants is not always getting what he means, which is why I have a rule of 3 in this fic, and I'm sure that everybody has noticed it by now. Things happen in threes. Burger Pants will say something, then Azrael will say something. Azrael says the thing like 3 different times before Burger Pants finally gets the thing that they were talking about. So like they have the same tooth conversation 3 times. They have the same conversation about Chris 3 times. When they do the alliteration battles, it's 3 words. Like it's always in threes, which the 3s are lucky and the 4s are unlucky. So I'm not gonna get into that. Let's just let's get into Azrael's concise thing. Such a passionate pitch. I'm sold. It just so happens I've already read it all. It's one of my favorite manga. When I was a kid, I'd stay up late at night and read the I'd stay up late at night to read fan translations. I've never seen an official copy. Mom definitely wouldn't have let me own something like this. When I move, I'll be able to collect all the things I want. All the things that I want. So once again, Toriel not only protecting Chris, but also kind of keeping Azrael sheltered, and not really approving of most things that Azrael would want to get into, which is another reason why Toriel absolutely despises Burger Pants. I don't even think I need to get into Toriel lore in this. She doesn't speak in this ever. So let's move on. Oh, that's right. He'd known Azrael was moving soon. He was painfully aware of it. But whenever that guy mentioned it, it opened the wound back up. It opened the wound back up. It opened up the... yeah, okay. No. It opened the wound back up. Picking off this scab, and yes, that is, Burger Pants relating himself to a scab, which that is a another blood reference. I'm not going to get into the blood references in this. Nobody needs all of my brain rot. Let's keep going. Picking off this scab. That's right. Az was going off to find happiness, and happiness was something that he could find here. Did you know they recently continued the series? It ended the way it did because the original author died, but the new story picks up where he left off. I think I've heard about that, but I haven't read any of the new releases yet. Good, good. Let's go to the public reading area. My volume goes up so high when I'm doing the Burger Pants voice. I don't need to wake up any roommates. Let's keep going. We can go sit over there and read stuff together. I'm very sorry about the accents. I can't help it. I speak however I hear words. So that's how I hear words. I'm not trying to offend anyone. This was the perfect excuse to ditch Az for a few minutes. Not only would it serve as a distraction, the public reading quarters weren't too far from the adults-only area. Plus, it would give Azrael a chance to do something that he enjoyed. Oh, I wanted that. Do something he enjoyed. It was a win-win for all. Burger Pants made sure that they were nice and settled in first, and Azrael had his snout thoroughly stuck in a book before he was brave enough to sneak off. After being carted, he deftly walked through the large grid of tables searching for the series he had in mind. Even though there were many new and interesting things here that he might have wanted to take a peek at, he was on a mission. Dream Darling Duppy was high quality goods that far surpassed the rest. Sure, there was the content that gave the comic its mature rating, and it was definitely enjoyable stuff. But the most interesting thing by far was the plot. It dealt with the complex interrelationships involving the colorful main character of the week and the lead who took them by the hand and changed their lives for the better. It was an anthology series with an overarching plot that ramped up in intrigue as it kept the readers guessing who exactly the star was going to end up with. While she changed everyone's lives for the better, she was incomplete herself. And yes, I made this shit up, pretty much of 3 different things. So it's pulled out of my ass. This is not a reference, this is just me pulling shit out of my ass. And it was more complicated than simply missing her other half. When she fell to the world of the living, she was divided into 3 equal beings. Anyway. And she had to become whole before she could yes, that's a right hole. Make sure you use the right holes, kids. Before she could return home. The volume that was just released had her encounter her first doppelganger, the one who originally caused them to split apart. The one who originally caused them to split. No, yes, split apart conveys that they were whole and then they became separated. Split could also mean leaving, like, I'm gonna go split. Anyway. And absolutely refused to return whole. Oh, well, I got whole there. I don't know. So, it was no wonder that Burger Pants was chomping at the bit to find it. Besides, he couldn't leave Az waiting for too long. And yes, Burger Pants is into that self-cessed fiction. That is exactly what is happening right now. That also kind of correlates to how he and Az are pretty much 2 sides of the same coin, and I am very sorry. That does come up later in the fic. I'm very sorry. He ran up as he saw the colorful display, with books stacked high and merchandise hung neatly upon a tall wire backboard. I have no idea what con tables look like. I'm very sorry. I do, kind of. I knew somebody who used to make plushies, but I don't know what cons are like. So if it's very weird, it's probably because I'm more in imagining like ancient Chinese buildings than I am a con. I'm trying my best here. I don't know half the things I talk about in this manga in this series. Anyway, the characters were so adorable, and he was half tempted to buy an especially cute plushie of Miss Boo. But he absolutely did not. I have a lot of absolutes, right? Did I have another absolute? Absolutely refused to return whole. But he did not want to. Yeah, you can have that as a not, as a, but he did not want to have to explain what that was. Let's do capital N, so we note that that is an emphasis, which, usually it is all caps for Burger Pants. I think he is in all caps and not a kappa, but I can't do that. I can't have, like, all caps. That looks like I accidentally left cap lock on, and, I don't know how to change fonts on this. I'm trying my best here. I can only do so much. If somebody else wants to do all this stuff, that's fine. I just can't. He couldn't hide a stuffed animal, but the comics themselves came in sealed envelopes, and usually these kinds of vendors offered plain paper bags. In plain paper bags to help disguise what it was to the public eye. He searched around for the latest issue and hastily picked it up, studying the cover. This was it. Finally, all he had to do was make the purchase and get out of here. Though he was already here, it might not hurt to take a little bit more time to look around. Maybe he could buy a keychain or something. It is so hard doing the Noelle voice, but I have no other voice for Azriel. I really don't. I can't do my Rouse voice. I just can't. It's so close to my narration voice as it is. I wondered what that disappearing act of yours was all about. At the recognition of that familiar voice, Burger Pants immediately turned around and held the evidence behind his back. He was not expecting Az to follow him here. In fact, he'd watched Azriel carefully, waiting for just the right moment to slip away from the reading area. As luck would have it, he couldn't even enjoy this in peace. And yes, he kind of has a trauma because the whole thing stemmed from that one night and when he was watching porn. So now he associates Azriel with like this super stuck-up prude, which we know he wasn't. We absolutely know that Azriel was so far from a prude. Like like Andrew had put porn karaoke. But in his mind, and that's another thing Andrew pointed out, was that Burger Pants reads into things way too much. Like, he reads into, which he kind of projects, that Azriel is really into Bratty because he's secretly into Bratty. Or at least he likes Bratty more than Catty. Because Bratty and Catty are different. I don't know if everybody realizes it. They're not like... They play off of each other, and Bratty is more like Azriel, where she will try to manipulate people into doing what she wants, and Catty is more straightforward, and there's really a parallel between Catty and Bratty with Azriel. Anyway, let's stop, take a breather, let's not talk about their relationship, let's talk about whatever I was just talking about. Andrew had pointed out that... I don't remember. Oh yeah, he has that trauma. Burger Pants has that trauma because he was just trying to, do his thing, let Azriel into his world, even though he didn't want Azriel there. He was a little bit ashamed at first, but, he was just willing to go with it, whatever, buddies. It's not like he would judge him or anything, but then it kind of did seem like Azriel was judging him. So now he has it in the back of his head that Azriel is this, like, super prude, and he does not want to be shamed in front of Azriel. And this comic means a lot. Like, this comic is his favorite series, This is entertainment to him. This is his thing. He's been wanting this to... He's been looking forward to this for a long time. So he's kind of trying to play between his own interests and Azriel, and he doesn't want to, like, sacrifice either things. He's not realizing that, well, let's just get into it. Let's get into it. Let's go. Az, fancy meeting you here. Az, fancy meeting you here. You're interested in this kind of stuff too. Well, how about that? Feel free to take your time browsing. I'll make sure to get you before I leave. Azriel blinked at him meaningfully. I've already found what I'm looking for. Why are you sneaking off for a thing like this? Here's an example. They don't communicate very well. For a thing like this, Azriel is saying, dude, what you doing? I already know what your interests are. And Burger Pants takes it to mean, oh my god, are you seriously sneaking off to get porn? Really? You're really that obsessed? So Burger Pants sees it as being judgmental. They do not communicate very well. They try. It's not so bad. They gotta work things out. And that's when his friend grabbed his arm. Burger Pants was at a stalemate. It should have been obvious what he was doing here. There's no way Azriel didn't know, but he felt way too embarrassed to explain and let Azriel see him purchase porn right in front of his eyes. Especially since this series was so sparkly and cute. He doesn't want to be judged. He just wants his cute little thing all to himself. Don't judge him. Let him play in peace. He tucked the comic that he had hidden behind his back into his waistband and used his freed-up hands to shake the guy off. Look, Az, I'm almost done here. Why don't you go on back? I'll catch up with you soon. You've never hid anything like this before. Azriel let out a displeased snort. Oh my god, I am going through 6 bottles of water. I can tell you, by the time this is over, I will have gone through 6 bottles of water. Do whatever you like. I'll go find Chris. Burger Pants' posture went rigid. Wait, was Azzy mad? What's with that attitude? There's no way he could just let Azrael storm off again without explaining himself. I'm falling into the accent again. He'd thought through that night over and over. The point where things started to go south was when Az first got upset. Maybe if he'd been able to pay attention and didn't immediately dismiss him, they wouldn't have had such a shit show afterwards. He subconsciously reached out to the retreating figure. Azzy, wait! Before he could make it very far, his world went spinning before his very eyes. He fell and tripped over absolutely nothing. Oh my god, I have so many absolutes. Oh my god. But there's no other word I could use there. It's absolutely nothing. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. He fell and tripped over absolutely nothing, trying to chase after his friend. It must have made a commotion. People were bound to notice the guy that just fell flat on his face. Ooh, I got 2 justs. Look at those justs. The guy that fell flat on his face, fell flat on his... You know what? It flows better that way anyway. The guy that fell flat on his face. Just how many eyes were on him right now? He didn't even want to think about it. Today was also a cursed day as well, it seemed. Star-crossed lovers. I mentioned in the front of the fic, he starts off as a crossed, miffed, upset, agitated star lover. He has this idolization for Azrael, and then he kind of becomes the star-crossed lover, as in fated to not work out well. Let's keep going. We'll get 2 roads. We'll cross bridges when we get there. I don't know what the idiom is. All of a sudden, just how many eyes were on him right now? He didn't even want to think about it. Today was a cursed day as well, it seemed. Didn't you tell me to go back? Now you're scrambling to catch up? Azrael offered him a hand to help him up. Help him up. And chiding him mildly. Burger Pants was glad that Az was a decent person. The kind who would turn back and help him pat the dust off when he fell down. He took the proffered hand and used Azrael's assistance. Oh my god. Azrael's assistance to get him back up. He didn't use the other thing to get him back up. And just when he was about to express his gratitude... do I have a book? Somewhere? I don't know. My sound effects. It has been a long time since I have done manga translations. So, my sound effects are shitty. Let's see. Fwap. The sound of the bound book falling and splaying out on the floor of the aisle made an exceptionally loud noise that resonated despite the low din from the bustle of the crowd around them. And yes, it is still in the clear plastic packaging, so it makes a little bit of a louder noise than like a notebook dropping. Even more eyes turned their way. I hope that didn't get my recording out of sync or something. I hope it didn't mess with audio. Oh boy. It definitely looked like he was trying to steal it and flailed around. Oh, I missed the whole thing. Even more eyes turned their way. They say that actions speak volumes. But in fact, that single volume spoke loud and clear about his actions. It definitely looked like he was trying to steal it and failed miserably. Burger Pants felt himself go cold, or at least his bottom half grew cold. His pants had fallen from the safety of his hips and were now bunched up at the end of his ankles. You are welcome! You are so welcome! There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Absolutely. There's absolutely no way. Absolute. Mm-mm-mm. I wish I knew other words. Absolutely. There's seriously no way. There is seriously no way. Okay, yeah. Breakdown and contraction, that helps. There is seriously no way. Not another incident, not today, not in this way. He could accept the pizza and the puke and even the piss, but there's absolutely no way in hell he could live down the name Porn Pants. Az was the kind of guy to relate this story to anyone, right? Could he? Or was this how he got his revenge? Stuck it to him for having this kind of hobby. He wanted to cry. I think it's the first maybe it's the first he wanted to cry. He wanted to cry. How could the situation get any more humiliating? Lead up that goes nowhere. It does not humiliate him. It's the reverse. Oh, pardon me, sir. I dropped my book. Azrael stepped in as if it was the most natural thing in the world to bend down and pick up the comic. Most natural thing in the world to bend down and pick up the comic. That is very chunky, but some days you just gotta go chunky. Bringing it up to the cashier off to the side. Burger Pants blankly stared, watching as he did so. Az put on his customer service face, which was 100 times more effective than Burger Pants's. How could you describe that face as anything but heart-stopping? He was a natural lady killer. It was absolutely maddening. Absolutely maddening. It was absolutely maddening. Oh my god. Absolutely count 100. Let's see. It was totally it was totally maddening. No man should have such an affable smile. You know what? It can be absolute. Let's just it was unthinkably maddening. No. Did he think? I don't know. He might have thought. Unbearably maddening. Unbearable. Bearable. I don't know if I've done a bearable. Have I done a... Oh, I could search. No, I'll lose my place. I cannot do that. Do not lose your place. If you're ADHD, you'll never get back. It was... I'll re-edit. What was the word? Unbearably. Wait, he couldn't bear it. Could he bear it? Could he bear it? Did he bear it? He could not... There's absolutely no way in hell he could live down his own name. Okay. Unbearably. Maddening. No man should have such an affable smile. A little itty-bitty nod to Election Tokong. This is my favorite series. I'm glad it came out today. My trip was worth it. This is getting further from Noelle and getting into something something completely different entirely. I should not be doing voices. I should not. Okay. The clerk at the table looked at Azrael curiously as she rung up the purchase. Fujoshi! Fujoshi! She knows. She saw the whole thing. Anyway. Shout out to all my Fujinshi. This one's for you. This one is for you, my Fujinshi, my yaoi lovers of the world. I'm so glad you like it. Actually, my girlfriend is the one who does the illustrations for me. I could get her to autograph this if you wanted. That would be amazing, thank you. What? The author was manning the stall the whole time? Also, the artist is going to sign it for me? The artist is going to sign it for me? Just like that? There's no way this cruel world is a fair one. That bastard! Not only does he... I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. That bastard! Not only does he get charming looks and a great body, he also gets opportunities the rest of us plebeians would never dare imagine. How would you say that as plebeians? Or plebeians? In this accent? I don't know. Plebeians. It's plebeians. If I would have asked for an autograph, wouldn't I just get slapped instead? But this asshole has to show... But this asshole just has to... But all this asshole has to do is show his extremely... But all this asshole has to do... But all this asshole... This asshole has to do... Is show... Is... Not the id. We're not going into the id. This one. Is show that extremely punchable face of his and get everything handed to him. And get everything handed to him. And get everything handed to him. And everything gets handed to him. And everything gets handed to him. And everything gets handed to him. Pizza Pants, you should probably pull up your... Pizza Pants, you should probably pull up your slacks. A flat tone interrupted his thoughts. Oh, that's right. They were still in public. No, wait, that wasn't the only issue. People talk about being caught with their pants down, but have they ever been caught in the adults-only area and not been arrested? It was a misfortune. He was completely innocent, but who would want to listen to his explanation? It definitely didn't look good. Burger Pants quickly picked up his jaw and his pants from off the floor. There it is. There's my thing. He picked up his jaw because he's so shocked. You pick up your jaw from the floor. Your jaw dangles at the floor. We are talking. What was that movie? Who Framed Roger Rabbit vibes here. That is very AZPT. We are talking Roger Rabbit and Sexy Girl. I don't even remember her name, but that's them. This is their energy. This is them. Burger Pants quickly picked up his jaw and his pants from off the floor. After he fixed the critical issue, again, I can't describe him like pulling up his pants. He took his hands and gripped his pants and pulled them up his legs. I can't do it. After he fixed the critical issue, he could only stand around awkwardly and wait with Azrael. He'd been skipping a few meals here and there whenever he got off work. Perhaps it was time he invested in a good quality belt to fasten his pants tight. He didn't want another mishap below the belt to happen like this under his belt ever again. When the clerk got back, she exchanged a couple pleasantries with Azrael and Burger Pants. Oh, with Azrael, comma. Yes, this was another thing Andrew pointed out. I keep not putting my commas. She exchanged a couple pleasantries with Azrael, comma, and separately from that, Burger Pants swiftly... Or do I even need that? Can I start a new sentence? Afterwards, when she got back, blah, 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 Azrael. Afterwards, Burger Pants swiftly... Afterwards, Burger Pants wasted no time, swiftly leading. Burger Pants wasted no time, swiftly leading. No time, swiftly leading them out of the area. Afterwards, after everything was done, everything was said and done, Burger Pants wasted no time swiftly leading them out, and I do not know the difference between lead and led. It is the worst. It is the worst. English is the worst. Burger Pants wasted no time swiftly leading them out of the area before the flesh on his cheeks could melt him to death. When they reached the outside, Azrael pulled out the contents of the bag, which no longer contained the plastic sleeve. Both the artist and the author had signed the inside cover. "Hope you enjoy the Boo Bella arc," Azrael read aloud. "Ah, give me that! Don't look! You wouldn't understand!" Burger Pants flailed around, trying to grab the book out of Azrael's hands. However, between the two of them, Azrael was the heir apparent when it came to physical prowess. He was easily able to escape. I am not talking about ship dynamics here. Read however you want into this. Fly, be free. I don't care what your interests are. I just want to know why you went through such lengths to hide it from me. It's not like what you think, okay? It's a very compelling story. This ghost is trapped in the world of the living, and when she invades people's dreams, she can possess their body, and in doing so, she's able to solve all their problems. Well, solve all their problems. Solve all their problems. While also trying to find... This worked earlier. The Berserk thing worked with Azrael. Because Azrael was already interested in Berserk, they mutually agreed upon Berserk. Azrael is into the human stuff because he has that whole thing with Chris about wanting to pretty much take care of this timeline. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but pretty much. It's complicated, but he wants to make sure that his loved ones, including Chris, are taken care of in this timeline, and they do not have porn in common. Azrael is not interested in the porn. He doesn't mind that this is the thing that Burger Pants is into, but he is not, what is it? Demi? I think Azrael would be considered pretty demi. Or what's the word? But it really depends. Azrael in this fic, and only this fic, is more about fun than anything else. And that just isn't the fun thing. There are funner things out there, like pulling pranks. And anyway, let's just not get into that. Let us go. Where are we going? Biomorphing everyone she meets. Where's the Noelle voice? Mom? Maybe that's too feminine. I don't know. Biomorphing everyone she meets. Biomorphing everyone she meets. Azrael hummed, flipping through the pages. Give it back, asshole! I'm the one who bought it. Pretty sure that means it's mine. I don't know what that accent is. Don't ask me. With that, Burger Pants stopped his struggle and looked on dumbfoundedly. While it was true that Azrael made the purchase, he never would have done so in the first place if it hadn't been to get one over on him. The idea flickered in his head. The idea flickered in the back of his mind. Do I want a mind? Or do I want another head? We've had a lot of head. We've had the idea flickered in the back of his mind. No, we don't want a back. We don't want another back. The idea flickered. The idea flickered through his thoughts? The idea flickered... I don't know. I don't have those ideas flickering. I cannot tell you. And immediately cold sweat cropped up again. This situation. It couldn't possibly be coercion. Here you are, my Fujoshi. Here you are, my Fudanshi. You're welcome. It is for you. Please, please. Choose slowly. Was Az gonna make him do something ridiculous in order to earn it? One hug just to hold it? One peck per page? One bite for the book? Or something even more sinister, making him try every trick in the book. Considering the material, well, let's just say there was a reason a new issue was called a release. That would be pretty underhanded. Having had his fun, Azrael stuffed the comic back into the paper bag. Mom! You know you're a spoiled brat, you know that. You're such a spoiled brat, you know that? I do not have a good retort to this, so it is whatever I came up with. I don't know if I can just formulate new sentences right now. Let's go. Burger Pants' eyes nearly popped out of his head. Who even talks this way aside from middle-aged moms? Who says that about a grown-ass man? Besides, who who was the spoiled one around here, Azrael Dreamer? Mr. Bat Your Eyelashes and get everything you want. How could you possibly top that? It's bad, but it's not great. It's not great. Let's go past it. Half the time you call me, it's to drive you somewhere or get you something. I just saved your ass in there, and I don't get so much as a thank you. I get resented. I'm not demanding anything from you. I'm just venting my frustrations. I keep letting you use my affections to get whatever you want. Again, Azrael saying the same things over and over again, trying to get it into his head. It is not working. And also, the drop that, yeah, he kind of can read thoughts, but we've already gone over that. This is just reconfirming it. We keep hammering the point in, and possibly Burger Pants will get it in his head one of these days. Burger Pants felt his stomach drop. What was that just now? There's no way, right? Sure. Maybe he did call Azrael up for a ride or a meal in the past, but since he's been working, he's been trying to return the favor. He's been trying to return the favor. He's been trying to return the favor. He wanted to repay him, treat him to something nice. However, now that Az is going away, it was hard to get any one-on-one. That is a hyphen situation. Thank you. That was a one-on-one time. One-on-one time. One-on-one time. One-on-one time. And the thing back there, well, he meant to think Az, but everything happened so fast he didn't have a chance to. And maybe his friend was right this time. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, Burger Pants knew that if he asked Azrael to hang out, he'd usually make time. And that's another thing. In the beginning of the fic, Burger Pants is like, we can't do karaoke because Azrael just doesn't have the time with track, which is actually cross-country, choir and church and fixing up his family. But in the introduction, he had no qualms asking Azrael to drive him out to the city for a job interview and commit to driving him to said job, assuming he got it. He's starting to realize just how, oh god, not selfish, but ignorant he's been. Like, he just takes it for granted. Let's keep reading. Maybe his friend was right. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, Burger Pants knew that if he'd only... Oh, I've got lotion, sorry. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, Burger Pants knew that if he'd asked Azrael to hang out, he'd usually make time. He just thought that's how their friendship was. Azrael had an abundance to share. Wouldn't it be a shame not to take whatever was offered his way? He'd never once thought he was taking advantage of him. Rather, he didn't even know there were any feelings to be taken advantage of. Az might have mentioned them before, but it was hard to take seriously. So yes, Burger Pants is starting to realize that Azrael is on the other side of what was irking Burger Pants earlier about always getting used by pretty girls. So the pretty girls used Burger Pants and he got nothing out of it. Now Burger Pants is the pretty girl and taking advantage of Azrael's feelings, and he can't compute that very much. He does not think of it as a romantic attraction thing. That's just his buddy being nice, and that's just how they always were. Anyway. Thanks for your help back there, Azzy. And for the ride here. I owe you one. Do I put the mark for ya? I don't know. I think I'll just keep it ya. Mom? I came here hoping to spend time with you. You've been acting strangely ever since that night. You've been acting strangely ever since that night. I don't want to leave on bad terms. And there we go. We start getting a glimpse of how Azriel's feeling, though we don't actually delve into that. But they have the same thoughts, like, oh, you're acting weird since that night. You're putting up a wall. You're not saying what you need to say, and I'm just trying to be the one to make things right again. So they're pretty much at a stalemate. That was his intention too, but things never really did work out as planned. As for acting strangely, wasn't Azriel the one who closed himself off? Besides, he kept mentioning that he's leaving. He keeps mentioning that he's leaving. How could he not want to leave on bad terms when he's leaving so abruptly? He couldn't. Burger Pants just couldn't let... Burger Pants, there we go. Burger Pants couldn't let sleeping dogs lie. At least not without lying to himself. Sleeping dogs lie, let something go for the sake of not interrupting things, like for not being a bother. Pretty much what Azriel always does. Like, he doesn't want people to know that he's sad about something, so he'll hide his crying until he's out of view, that kind of thing. So anyway, Burger Pants couldn't let sleeping dogs lie, at least not without lying to himself. So he's like, okay, no, I've got to be truthful. This whole thing, I'm really not okay with it. That's pretty much what that's saying. And how about you? Always trying to guilt trip me about leaving? It's not like you'll just turn around and stay for good if I ask you to, right? So go, get on with your life, live it up, make something of yourself. No one can blame you, but why are you so eager to disrupt my life? Suddenly telling me that you want to fix... Even though he had enough steam to get him up to that point, whenever it came to talking about a relationship out loud, he couldn't do it. The words couldn't make it past his teeth. Especially not in especially not in public. I'm sorry. Especially not in public. He lowered his voice and continued. Dropping all your baggage at my door and leaving it for me to pick up? If you're going to move in, you gotta do it one bag at a time, or else your shit's scattered about everywhere. It takes time to clean up, okay? I can only handle so much at a time. And that's pretty much what Burger Pants was thinking that night is, holy shit, you're dropping all this this heavy load on me, and I can't even keep up. I can't sort this out, and that's what Burger Pants is meaning by this. Azriel looked genuinely caught off guard for a moment and shifted in his place. So, if I want to move in, it'll be okay if I do it one bag at a time? Burger Pants hesitated. He lost track if they were talking about the same... He lost track if they were talking in metaphors, or if Azriel was really talking about moving in with him. Or if Azriel was really talking about moving in with him. He lost track if they were talking in metaphors, or if Azriel was really talking about moving in with him. Either way was a bad idea. Neither choice could likely be up to code. Azzy, you know, you don't want to move into my place, right? It's dingy and cramped, and there's nothing good about it. How I feel about the matter is for me to decide. What about you? Do you not want me to make a move, then? Again, Azriel, being the freaking sly dog that he is, just sliding that in there. Want me to make a move. We're still talking about a relationship, right? So what's the point if it's only gonna be a couple weeks anyway? There's no endgame at all. Burger Pants had always had the idea in his head. He was going to get a girlfriend, fall in love, move away, and maybe have a couple kids. That's just what people did, right? The full life experience. But this threw a wrench into his idyllic picket fence picture. He was most likely going to marry whoever was willing to accept him, warts and all. He seemed to have... It seemed to be kind of anticlimactic to default to a guy he already knew could put up with him. So again, back into that relationship. You form a relationship with your spouse. You already have a relationship with your friend, and the two don't mix. He's very competent. He doesn't think about things other than, well, this is what most people do. That's what I'm going to have, right? So this is him coming to terms with Azriel's feelings, I think. I did it wrong. Okay, let's see. Okay. It seemed kind of anticlimactic to default to a guy he knew already could put up with him. Whew. Okay. If I was given the opportunity to do something I love, I would rather regret doing it than wasting the opportunity. Ooh, that's loaded, but I'm not going to get into that. Pretty much, well, I don't need to explain everything. I think some things are self-explanatory. Let's keep going. Wait, another issue popped into his head. On the note of doing something you love, just how physical was this relationship supposed to get? As far as kinship goes, they had a healthy amount of it as friends. As far as hugging and holding hands were concerned, holding hands was concerned. They were concerned. I was concerned about that. Let's see. He didn't have to use his imagination for such things. Kissing might be a little strange. Biting, well, it's not like he thought of that as intimate anyway, but he'd have to be careful with his teeth. Yay. So, supposing that he accepted on the terms of not regretting wasting an opportunity, their time frame was a month and a half, if that. They couldn't get very far. Most likely it'd be just the same as things were now, except at least a relationship gave them an excuse to have some bonding time while Az was packing up for college. Oh, Burger Pants. Oh, you are such a sweet summer child. Plus, as far as college went, it wasn't like Azriel was never going to see him again. They were best friends. Surely they'd call each other and meet up occasionally. If things got too weird, they could just back out and pretend it didn't happen. Oh, Burger Pants. That was always an option. But if things did happen to work out, he was already saving up to get a car. He could always go visit him. Right, this wasn't the end of the world. This was just the beginning of something new. The issue of it was, exactly how embarrassing was it going to be? Holding hands and skipping off into the sunset like a jackass with his best friend? One bag at a time. Then, how about we start with this? Seeing Azriel offer up the small paper bag from earlier, Burger Pants could almost feel his heart beating out of his chest, now fully realizing the implications of what taking it from him meant. Oh my god, why do I do this to myself? Realizing what the implications of taking it from him meant. But he still accepted. Stop it! I'm not mature enough for my own writing, I'm sorry. But not fully realizing what the implications of what taking it from him meant. But he still accepted. This smooth asshole. I am so bad. It's almost done. Just go. This smooth asshole. He did use the comic to coerce him after all. And the worst part was, he fell for it knowingly. Yay! That is the end, I believe. Hopefully I will be able to, upload this, I guess? So that has been a look into the madness that is, let that sink in. If you watch this, thank you very much for watching, and, maybe I'll do this for Chapter 4, even though Chapter 4 has some really heavy scenes that I have not put in yet, and my brain cannot wrap around those scenes just yet. It gets into the Flowey thing, it gets into the whole, what they're like in a physical relationship. It doesn't get, like, more than PG, obviously, but, it's a little hard writing that kind of stuff. Well, we've got that to look forward to, I guess. Once again, thank you very much. I will maybe see you soon, maybe not. I'll see how this goes. And, bye-bye.